After that brush,
Wow.
the ball shoots out like a cannonball. Today, we're focusing on the angle of our brush. To hit a loop that's both spinny and powerful, you need to think of it as a two-part motion. Step 1. The initial brush should be slightly outwards, similar to a banana flick. For example, a purely sideways flick will only send the ball straight down the line, but by adding a final rotation after the initial contact, you can redirect it cross-court. If you're not happy with your friction, it's probably because you're just brushing straight up or straight forward. So, on contact, avoid a simple forward or upward brushing motion. Practice this by brushing towards your side front. After brushing outwards, snap your forearm inward. This wraps the ball and creates acceleration. Whether you're in a pivot position or in the middle, aim this outward brush toward your opponent's backhand. Remember to brush outwards, wrapping the ball from the outside. It's the same principle for down-the-line shots. Brush to the side. After the side brush, the inward snap is your source of acceleration. Give this a try. This method has been a game changer for me. Don't just move your arm plainly forward or upward after contact. You need to brush towards your front right. Then tuck your forearm in towards your body. Once I started this outward brush, my spin increased dramatically. Second, the inward snap after the brush gives the ball much more speed and kick off the table. I suspect it's because this motion increases my racket speed, whereas before I was just tucking my arm in. It's like throwing a punch, a whipping motion is always more powerful than a straight push. So focus on that outward brushing motion. This has two benefits. First, it maximizes friction. Second, after creating friction, the inward snap adds ball speed. You have to try this outward brushing technique. The difference is huge. The ball will have much more spin. This is a forward brush, and this is a sideways brush. The ball just explodes off the racket. For a spinny loop, don't just pull your arm straight back or drop it straight down. Stay close to your body and brush outwards. Keeping it close and brushing out generates real spin. The key here is to keep the racket close to your body. If you lean back or pull your arm too far back, you'll lose your contact point. Stay close to your body and brush the ball out, as if you're aiming toward the umpire. After that brush, the ball shoots out like a cannonball. Because a video frame drops, you're probably seeing half the actual speed. If you saw this live, the explosive power would be much more obvious. This technique helps the blade grip the ball better, though it's also related to the equipment, like using an inner carbon blade with strong late-game power. The second key point, in a match, you either use all your power and make mistakes, or you play too soft. This is because you're not using two separate accelerations. When you try to hit hard, you lose friction. When you focus on friction, you lose power. If your loop isn't spinny enough, your opponent will block it back easily. Then you'll try to force the next shot and make an error. The solution is two-stage acceleration. The first stage of acceleration is for friction. The second stage, after the brush, is a forward acceleration, just like hitting a topspin ball. With this method, I can generate power even while standing still, without using my body. It works because the first part of the motion properly grips the ball with friction. Once the ball is gripped, I can generate a quality shot using only my arm, with no help from my legs or body. This is the two-stage acceleration I'm talking about. Let's first master the initial outward brush. First, get your setup right. Stay close to your body, racket tip pointing down, and brush outwards to your front right. Then, you need to hit the brakes on that motion. Only by stopping the first part can you accelerate into the second. If you don't have that stop, you'll just brush through the whole motion. The ball will slip off your racket, and your loop will be soft and slow. If your loop lacks spin, a soft, slow ball is just a gift to your opponent. So don't use the entire swing for brushing. Stop the brushing motion when your hand reaches your front right, about chest height. This leaves room for your arm to execute the second part of the swing for acceleration, making your shot fast and heavy. Don't use the whole swing to slowly create friction. Friction is about gripping the ball, if you drag it out too long, you'll lose spin, speed, and power. You must leave room for your arm to drive forward and accelerate. That's how you get a power loop. Split your force into two parts. One part for the outward brush, and the second for a sharp, forward snap. Let me demonstrate again. When I say you don't need your body, I don't mean you shouldn't use it. I mean that even in the worst-case scenario, this arm action alone is explosive. Once I stop the first part of the motion, I create room to accelerate through the second part. When looping a backspin ball, that first brushing motion must come to a distinct stop. You stop it to prepare for the forward power burst. You also stop it to maximize spin. A continuous, non-stop brushing motion won't generate much spin. A sharp, braking motion is what creates heavy rotation. We need that sudden stop to really bite into the ball and generate spin. For the second part, since you've already lifted the ball, you can treat it like a topspin ball and just accelerate forward and through it. Connect those two parts, and that's the whole shot. This is how I developed my powerful loop. If the opponent's push is heavy or has a lot of spin, I just use a little less forward power. The technique is the same for very spinny balls, I just restrain the power on my follow-through. If their return quality is low, I release more power in the second stage. If the backspin is extremely heavy, hold back a little on the forward drive. Focus more on the friction and keep the power contained. If it's not very spinny, then you can fully release your power. Your mistakes happen because you try to generate power before you've properly gripped the ball with friction. The fourth key point, a loop must be brushed with an arc. I'm talking about a relatively small arc. For instance, upon contact, my racket moves quickly from this point to that point, creating a curve. Watch my motion carefully. Take a look at this. Can you see the arc in my motion as I brush the ball? If you can't lift the ball during this rolling drill, it's always because you're not wrapping around it correctly. This motion is how you wrap the ball. Wrapping the ball feels like brushing along a curved surface, not a flat one. The biggest problem for amateur players is that you're using your entire arm, elbow, forearm, and wrist as one solid unit to push forward. This results in a forward motion at contact, which drives the ball straight into the net. To compensate, you just lift the ball up to get it over the net. But the problem is your entire swing structure is too big and clumsy. You're trying to create an arc with your whole arm, when it should be coming from your hand and wrist. The arc should be generated by the hand, racket, and fingers. You start with a small arc and build to a larger one. Your hand itself isn't changing. You're just lifting your shoulder, elbow, and arm to create a trajectory. Your racket face isn't creating the arc. By the time you create that arc with your entire arm, the ball is long gone. This results in either poor spin or just lifting the ball high. The motion needs to start here, at the hand. Your racket itself must create a small arc at the moment of contact. That's the secret to friction and spin. Your upper arm and shoulder are for support. The fine-tuned arc has to be created by your hand. But you're not doing it. Right now, your entire arm is creating the arc, but the crucial part, the hand and wrist, isn't. The key is here, your hand and wrist must create the arc to wrap the ball. Let your wrist guide the ball in an arc, then add the forearm and body, and the full shot will come together. But right now, your hand is rigid, and you're trying to muscle the ball over with your arm and shoulder. You can't generate spin like that. Your upper body provides the power, that's the heavy lifting. Your wrist and fingers handle the delicate work, the fine touch. From backswing to contact, the fine work from your hand must come first. After that, you bring in the heavy lifting from your arm to add power. Most players are missing the fine work, which leads to a stiff, ineffective follow-through. So you compensate by just lifting the ball straight up on contact, which is the only way to get it over the net. I can say this with confidence because I've analyzed slow-motion videos of dozens of players at our training camps, and every single one has this issue. Amateurs often lack the small arc at contact created by the fingers, wrist, and forearm in sequence. That initial arc is the foundation of a powerful loop. It's called a loop for a reason. Your hand must create an arc. A flat hit is one thing, but for a loop, your hand has to move in a curve. Only when your hand creates an arc can your racket face create an arc on the ball. If you just lift with your shoulder, you won't be fast enough to handle a spinnier ball. First, teach your fingers to create an arc, which will guide your racket to create an arc. Once your racket can create an arc, let it guide your entire arm in an arc. And once your arm can create an arc, coordinate it with your body to create a complete, fluid arc. The essence of a loop is creating an arc, a trajectory, because the ball is spinning. With a topspin ball, your margin for error is huge, you can practically just block it over. But backspin is different. This is where amateurs get stuck, dealing with different types of backspin. You can handle no-spin or topspin balls, but you lose matches because you can't handle backspin. At every clinic, the questions are always the same: how to loop backspin, how to serve, and how to return serve. No one ever asks me how to hit a basic forehand or backhand drive, because that's not where the struggle is. You have to break down the process. A small arc from the hand leads to a bigger arc from the forearm, which leads to a full arc from the body. At first, just focus on lifting the ball without being affected by the spin. Then, use the arc of your arm to increase the quality of the shot. Finally, use the arc of your body to add devastating power. When you do this, you'll have a complete and effective loop. The goal isn't just to turn backspin into topspin so your opponent can block it back. The goal is to hit a quality shot that ends the point. If you have a good serve that sets up a weak return, you need to be able to put that ball away with a powerful loop. That's how you become unbeatable. Understand the sequence of force. It starts with the fingers, which are closest to the racket, then the wrist, forearm, upper arm, shoulder, and finally the body. So, you must start with the most sensitive part. Your fingers have to learn to create that initial arc. When your fingers create an arc, they guide the racket face. This allows you to at least lift the ball consistently. From there, get your whole arm structure to create a proper arc, instead of just pushing forward or lifting up. Once your arm makes the arc, coordinate it with your body. As your hand goes down, your body goes down. As your hand goes forward, your body goes forward. Your whole body should move in an arc. Do all of this, and a great loop will naturally follow.